The world situation is worsening. The storm clouds continue to gather. There have been moments when it would seem that the light of peace might break through, but always there's the reverting back to darkness and chaos. Now, as at the beginning of time, when God said, "Let there be light," the power to give light on our world problems today is in the hands of Him who is the dispenser of light. When the world was young and new, and darkness was upon the face of the waters, even as it most certainly dwells upon the face of the world today, God sent light to illuminate and to drive away the foreboding shades of night which so gloomily envelop the earth. The Bible is explicit in its declaration that Christ is the light of the world. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light, says the Bible, that they dwell in the land of the shadow of death. Upon them hath the light shined. And then the Bible says, in Him was light, and the light was the light of men. The Bible again says, for God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, hath shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Inscribed on the famous Eddystone lighthouse on the rugged coast of England are these words, to give light and to save light. Written in letters of fire across the Scriptures, we have just read about Christ, the light of the world, are the same words, to give light and to save life. Across the pages of secular and sacred history march an invisible, real army of faithful souls who hold high the torch of Christian faith. This is a mighty army of the militant redeemed, declares that Christ is the light of the world. And over the world today is a mighty army of young people. Their marching feet, shod with the preparation of the gospel, resounds throughout the earth, and upon their golden shields are engraved the words, Christ the light of the world. If I had a jet plane, I would fly high above the highest mountain peaks of the earth, and in letters of silver I would write so that the whole world could read that Christ is the light of the world, and Christ is the hope in this dark and tragic hour in which we live. I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. First, light dispels darkness. Darkness cannot dwell where light abides. When Jesus Christ, the light of the world, is permitted to shine in the human heart, the darkness of sin and despair flee before it, as shadows flee from the noonday sun. Thomas Bridges, a redeemed waif from the streets of London, was called upon to take the gospel to the savages of Cape Horn. Charles Darwin had visited there, and these cannibals a few years ago had almost caught him and eaten him as he was looking for the missing link. But Thomas Bridges, armed with only a Bible, went to live with these heathen headhunters. In a period of a few short years, the whole tribe was transformed by the power of Christ. And if you were to visit that land today, you would find a high state of Christian civilization. What wrought about the miracle of this change? I answer, Christ, the light of the world. His light has driven back the darkness of race prejudice, caste system, social inequality, and class hatred. If allowed to shine in the world, it would dispel the shades of communism, totalitarian, and despotism. And its white heat will melt the shackles which hang heavily about the feet of the fettered peoples of the world. And He who is the light of life had brought him from the darkness of heathenism into the glorious light of the gospel. But again, I want you to see that light is reflected. Jesus placed His disciples and His church the responsibility of reflecting His light. If we fail to shine for Him and reflect the image of His glory, the world can never know the power and healing of Him who is the light of the world. He said, ye are the light of the world. Just as the earth and the moon have no power to shine only as they reflect the radiance of the sun, so Christ's disciples are lights only as they reflect the glory and brilliance of Christ, who is the light of the world. If our lives are filled with evil and sin, if we harbor attitudes that are unchristlike, then we will fail in our divine commission to be the light of the world. It is the dedicated, the consecrated life which can best reflect the beauty and glory of the risen Christ. Self in the flesh must be crucified, and Christ must be exalted if we are to be true lights for Him. You who are bored with life and broken by the weight of sin, I have good news for you. If you will turn your meager, misspent life with your talents and powers over to the Master, you may yet be able to reflect light into this dark, drab world. It is never too late to start. Ladies and gentlemen, I beg of you today to take the light of Christ, to take the life of Christ into your own heart. At this moment, you can know light and life if you let Christ into your heart.